games, and already 2 of those 4 have been 1-0 defeats.
Postseason heroes for the Cardinals back in 2006. Adam Wainwright, the closer, Jeff Suppan, NLCS MVP, and they hook up again tonight.
Well, they hooked up on May 16th, and Adam just made one bad pitch. A Corey Hart home run made him a loser 1-0. And Suppan pitched brilliantly, but so did, Wainwright. But Suppan is 7-2 lifetime against the Cardinals and 5-0 with a great ERA against them ever since he's signed with Milwaukee Brewers.
So we're looking forward to this matchup. Adam Wainwright against Milwaukee, 7 starts, under 500 at 2-3, and Jeff Suppan at 5-0 since he signed with Milwaukee against St. Louis. Why do you think he's had that great success?
Well, he's a master at changing speeds, keeping the ball down, and with so many young hitters that are vulnerable to the off-speed pitch, I think he's the perfect storm for the Cardinal hitters. And unfortunately, if he has his way, it should be another low-scoring game for the Cardinals.
So Wainwright, Suppan, the Cards, and the Brewers. When we come back, it's a look at Albert Pujols once again in the 3 spot in this lineup for St. Louis. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime. The drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Auto Tire. For the lowest prices in town, we shop the competitors so you don't have to. And by Chevy. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. Roof is closed, and the panels beyond the outfield wall are closed here at Miller Park. There's a look at Tony La Russa. The Cardinals check in with a record of 26-19, 1 game back of Milwaukee. Milwaukee is 27-18. The brats on the grill. Baseball is here to look at Tony's lineup. Schumacher, then Duncan hitting in front of Pujols. Molina, Rasmus Green, Stavanoa, Wainwright, and Joe Thurston against our Marshall Wireless starter. And that's Jeff Suppan. And our first pitch of the game is presented by Domino's, and a strike to Skip. It's 66 degrees inside Miller Park. 53 outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
There's a lot of rain in the area, so we're thankful of the roof. And there you see the numbers on Suppan. His first 2 starts a year, he had an ERA over 12, losing both of those. Since that time, he's 3-1 with an ERA at 3.21.
Schumacher is 5 for 20 against his former teammates. Slowly hit towards short. Counsell gloves and throws. Once again, no J.J. Hardy tonight, as Hardy has been dealing with some back issues, and he may play tomorrow afternoon. A look at the defense presented by Auto Tire. Braun, Cameron, and Hart in the outfield. Hall, Counsell, McGee, and Fielder on the infield. The battery tonight, Jeff Suppan and Jason Kendall, who just moments ago was honored for hit number 2,000, which he picked up last week against St. Louis, and Kyle Loge. There's a look at Prince Fielder, who's taking extra ground balls before the game today.
Dan, he's a much improved first baseman. Over a year ago, where he had the 2nd most errors in the major leagues, this year he's only committed 1.
Cardinals 34 runs in their past 13 games, and they have not scored more than 5 runs since May 10. So this offense is struggling, to say the least.
There's no doubt about it, and a lot of guys are not reacting to the off-speed pitches. You have a master like Suppan. He'll keep the ball down, he'll spot his fastball, but he's going to throw an awful lot of off-speed pitches.
1-1 pitch inside to Duncan. Pujols on deck. Jeff Suppan, nothing out over the middle of the plate in that last start against the Cardinals.
And you're talking about, Duncan is some of the guys that have hit him, and have numbers against him, but no production.
You don't mind giving up the hits at times.
Right. And
as long as you don't do it with runners on.
Exactly right. And this is the pitch that Chris and all the young hitters got to avoid. They can't chase that off-speed pitch when it's in that location. They won't hit it.
2-2 pitch, tails inside, and he just missed.
Kendall with a nice job trying to frame that ball, trying to sell it to the umpire.
Kendall has really had a good career, hasn't he?
Yes, he really has. I think he became the 8th catcher to have 2,000 hits and play 1,000 games.
There's a base hit up the middle for Duncan. On a 3-2 pitch, and it brings in Albert Pujols.
Well, that's one of the beauties, you know, if you can work the count full, and then with Albert on deck, you're going to get a strike. And this is what Soup does. You know, it's a single, so he'll give up some base hits. Now Albert has hit nearly 400 against him, but no home runs and only 2 RBIs in 33 at-bats. That's pitching.
13 for 33 against Suppan with 5 doubles. Now Albert here in this month of May has 10 RBIs, and 6 of those RBIs have come on solo home runs, so no one is getting on in front of him, and there hasn't been a lot of protection behind him, and we've seen Pujols expand his zone more in this month than maybe in his entire career.
And that's just a byproduct, knowing that a lot of the responsibility falls off him. But I'm sure Tony would say, Albert, don't do too much, you know, when you're hurting yourself, like swinging at the pitch that bounced yesterday.
0-1 pitch, pulled foul, 0-2. And what you're talking about was in the 8th inning with a runner in scoring position, 2 runners on, as a matter of fact. Gallardo on a 3-2 pitch got Pujols to chase a curveball in the dirt. Gallardo's got that great curveball, and he and Carpenter were spectacular yesterday.
Oh, they really were. But we should go back to the matchup between Wainwright and Suppan. A very similar event. End up being 1-0 Suppan on the Corey Hart home run against Adam.
0-2 on Albert Pujols. Kendall wants it low and away. Breaking ball freezes Pujols, and he strikes out. First of the night for Suppan.
Soup doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, but they're usually when he can fool a hitter. There's the breaking ball, and Albert just bailing, looking for something else.
Al, this is a team that in the month of May, the Cardinals are hitting just 280, or rather 218, on base percentage of 282, and averaging just 3 runs a game. That's it.
And the real problem is the 4th spot, the cleanup spot, hitting under 100 in the month of May.
That's slowly hit towards third. Easy play for Bill Hall. Cardinals strand Duncan, and after a half inning, there is no score here in Milwaukee. Back at Miller Park in Milwaukee, no score after a half inning as Suppan was able to strand Chris Duncan at first base. Now the Brewers coming up. Let's take a look at their lineup. Craig Counsell, Casey McGee, and Ryan Braun, who's been very good against the Cardinals in his career. Then fielder Cameron and Hart, Hall, Kendall, and Jeff Suppan, the pitcher, batting 9th. And they will face our Marshall Wireless starter, Adam Wainwright of the Cardinals.
Well, he's looked much better of late. His last 2 games have been very good since he found a mechanical flaw, including the 1-0 loss to the Brewers.
And that pitch is taken for a strike on the outside corner by Counsell.
Lefty's only batting .266 against him. Right-handers .219. But it's just a whale of a difference the way he's attacking the hitters.
Counsell playing a bunch now with Hardy out. And of course they are dealing with injuries on their side.
Yeah, they're a little concerned with Counsell, who has a knee problem. He elected not to have surgery, but they felt like he can't play on an everyday basis. So they really need to get Hardy back to spell him a little bit and, you know, play a little bit sparingly at second.
And Weeks, of course, is gone for the season. Injured his wrist against the Cardinals and have surgery, so he is done for the year. Until yesterday, they weren't getting production out of Bill Hall. And Hall, of course, had the game-winning hit with 2 outs in the 10th against McClellan to win the game 1-0. Here's a 1-2 pitch. He got him. Froze him with the breaking ball. Counsell is the first strikeout victim of the night.
Counsell, why couldn't you have done that yesterday against Carpenter? He broke up the no-hitter with just a ground ball that went through the vacated second base area.
Carpenter now has a scoreless streak at 23 innings. Yesterday, 8 innings of work, 2 hits, and he struck out 10 for the 10th time in his career. And a lot of folks were comparing his start yesterday to the one that he had back in his old stomping grounds of Toronto, that 1-hitter.
Yes, we were too. We talked about that.
Yep.
And because of Carpenter and company, now the Cardinals own the best ERA in the major leagues.
They just need some offense.
Yeah, the Cardinals pitching staff has lowered their ERA from 4.23 to its current 3.67. Leads all major league staffs.
The 2-0 pitch in there for strike 2, Casey McGee.
The great thing about this pitching staff is now that they've got things ironed out is they're not pointing fingers at the offense.
Do you get concerned, though, as you see the line here on Carpenter? Do you get concerned that a pitcher goes out there feeling that he's got to be perfect now?
Well, you have to avoid against doing that, Dan. It's just, you go out and pitch your game.
Here's Khalil Green with the play.
Carpenter knows that, he pitched a great game. He says it's beyond, individual stats. We're team oriented. Wainwright pitched that great gem. He loses that game, but he knows if he does that on a consistent basis, he's going to win virtually every time out. So, there'll be times where these guys get roughed up like they did early in May, and the offense wasn't pointing fingers at them or are saying something. So you got to stay collective as a group and pull for everyone to break out.
Al, you pitched for a number of years in the big leagues as you get a look at Ryan Braun, his first plate appearance. Does it amaze you to see as much time that Carpenter has missed over the years, and then missed time since April 14th, to come out and throw as well as he has with no rehab assignment, not even facing live hitters, and the control that he's got?
It's hard not to say it surprises you, or that you would expect it, but I think he's a little bit different. He is so different than what today's pitchers are. Just his demeanor on the mound, the way his attitude is just gangbusters. I can't say enough about what he does and what he represents when he's on the mound and when he's off the mound. He's just a true professional.
There was a opposing player that came over before the game today and wanted to visit with Carpenter, and I'm not going to name the name of the player, but
it better been a pitcher.
It was not.
And he didn't hit him.
And Carpenter was very cordial, but there was no long conversation and dialogue. I mean, he is a competitor, period. No score. No score as we move to the top of the second here in Milwaukee. If you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv. And catch over 100 live out-of-market games per week. For complete details, visit STLCardinals.com, where baseball is always on. Ken Maka already visiting with the umpires here between innings. I'm not sure they're pointing to something out towards left field.
I think Rappiano, as the crew chief, is trying to go over the definitive of the home run line. And is there a wall back behind the out in left field and right field? And I think Maka's going, hey, you kept on. It's like he's looking for every little situation to dwell on something. Just go play the game.
Remember yesterday there was a botched double switch, and it wound up working to their advantage because Bill Hall came up and won the game. As Colby Rasmus hits a high fly ball out to left center field. Should stay in the ballpark. Over to get it is Cameron, as he cuts right in front of Braun to make that catch.
Cameron did make the catch, but Braun stationary right underneath it. No communication. He's a three-time. Well, you can see Cameron yelling, but Braun apparently did not hear it. Cameron, a three-time Gold Glove winner, and Braun just his second year out in the position, out in left field. Now, Braun has finally made an error. He made one over the weekend in Minnesota, but that's his first error since moving to the outfield.
And the catch was made, and now here's Khalil Green. Tony La Russa going with Green tonight at shortstop. He has very good numbers against Jeff Suppan.
I think one of the things is, you try and ease him back into there when you can, but it's a little concerning that Ankiel not making the start here, and probably won't make the start tomorrow with the left-hander on the mound. Did they bring Ankiel back too soon?
He's played one time, and I guess it was Sunday.
One time, couldn't play yesterday, and not well enough to play today.
And Green, it's a lazy fly ball into right field. Catch made by Corey Hart, 2 away. Going back to that double switch for just a moment yesterday. Trevor Hoffman came in, he threw 7 pitches, but And like you talked about, Al, there could have been a situation where you wanted him to go back out, especially only after 7 pitches. But because of the double switch, he wasted Hoffman essentially for that inning because his spot then was up in the lineup.
And what happened in that situation, Hoffman got to the mound, was on the mound before Ken Maka notified the umpires about a double switch. And so that made it straight up, and you just couldn't put the double switch, but Billy Hall ended up hitting in the right spot.
Billy Hall was 1 for 28 prior to that base hit to win the game.
And we talked about, the option of putting him on. Even though he's 1 for 28, he was like 1 for 4, I think it was, against McClellan with a home run, and bring in Reyes to face Fielder, who was 0 for 2.
And Billy Hall, 167 against right-handed pitching. Been vulnerable to those breaking balls away. And he's talked about visualization being a big key for him as he continues in his career. He said, there's just times I don't feel real confident. And he was taking extra batting practice during the game yesterday. They can go back in the, behind the dugout and take extra BP.
You throw those numbers away, because how many times we've seen Billy Hall come up with a big hit against the Cardinals?
Seems like a bunch.
He also said he was looking for a breaking ball out away, got one, and drilled it out into right center.
Yeah, he said he pretty much knew that's where they were going to pitch him because he's been so vulnerable against that. And he's back in there tonight.
Should have thrown it outside of the strike zone.
Stavanoa pulls it foul. Khalil Green, as we've talked about, in the lineup tonight. You also have to find out, what do you have in Khalil Green this year?
That's right. I mean, you can try and nurse him back and take care of him, and everyone's concerned about his anxiety and dealing with success and lack of success, the failure aspect. But at some point, you got to say, hey, this is the big leagues.
Stavanoa down the left field line, and it is gone. A home run. Nick Stavanoa. 1-0 Cardinals in his first in 2009.
He's flirted with it, but he didn't get it far enough inside, and he jumped on the inside pitch and hits it out. Will that be the only hit? Look at how Suppan tries to get in there on him, but he just opens up, clears it, and hits a line drive, and Rapiano didn't have to worry about where that was. It was a home run.
And it brings in Adam Wainwright. 1-0 Cardinals.
That's his first major league home run, Dan.
And a strike at the knees. So Nick Stavanoa, the former catcher at LSU, picks up the home run. That's chopped foul.
Both these clubs very good when they get the lead. Whoever scores first usually wins.
0-2 here on Adam Wainwright.
That was a little safe to say that yesterday.
0-2 pitch. Hanging breaking ball pulled past Jose Oquendo. Brewers have dominated. You see the first career home run for Stavanoa. The Cardinals, they've won 9 of the last 10 in St. Louis and 14 of 19 overall.
They've won 11 of the last 12 meetings between these two clubs.
None too pleased are some of those Cardinal players about the untucking of the jerseys after games. And yesterday, if you were watching, you saw Billy Hall pick up the single and race into the clubhouse as the Brewers did their untucking for one game only in the clubhouse. Too short, Counsell up with it, but the Cardinals, thanks to Nick Stavanoa's first, have grabbed an early lead. Home run for Stavanoa, and it's 1-0. Nick Stavanoa with a solo home run, 1-0 Cardinals as we move to the bottom of the second. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Andre Ethier and the Dodgers head to Wrigley Field to take on the Cubs. For the Twins, battle the defending American League champion Rays. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week at 3 on Fox. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. And speaking of the Rays, they had a 10-0 lead on the Indians last night and lost that game as Jason Isringhausen tried to finish it off in that game. He walked 3, and you see the Firestone leaderboard at the top of your screen. And apparently Troy Percival, there's a possibility he may miss significant time this year.
Well, I think it's more of a likelihood he's going to retire. I think he's been on the disabled list 4 times this year, and he went home to kind of think about it. But that was young David Price started that game, had the 10-0 lead, and only pitched 3 1/3 innings. Had 100 pitches after 3 1/3 innings.
Three 3-0 on Fielder. Rips it into right center field. Rasmus over to get it. Cuts it off and gets it back in quickly to the infield. We should have a lot of fun with this. Our Fox Sports Midwest broadcast team will be calling the play-by-play from the Champions Club on Wednesday, June 17th. Jim Leland and the Tigers will be into St. Louis for interleague play. If you get a ticket to the Champions Club, this is what you get. A full upscale buffet, 2 full-service bars. It stays open the entire game. And also the great view of the game from the third base suite level. And tickets do remain for this game at STLCardinals.com. Rick Horton will join us. Al and I will be there. And we'll be doing the game from the Champions Club. And a chance for you to stop on by and say hello.
And we're going to have a lot of fun that day. And because Ricky being there, we can take a break so we can accommodate some autographs and get to know the people.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Up close and personal.
Here's Mike Cameron. And he looks at a strike. Cameron, 285 hitter this year, 9 home runs and 22 RBIs, 3 for 9 in his career against Wainwright. Milwaukee has really played well against the NL Central so far this year. They are 18-8.
You take away the 4 victories against the Cardinals, and without that, the Cardinals be in first place.
That's past Green and into left. So the first 2 have reached.
You go back to Fielder's hit as we look at Cameron bounce this one through the left side of the infield, but they had the shift on with Fielder, and he really hit that ball. It was a bullet, but he hit it right at the vacated second base area, much like Council's hit yesterday, the first of the game against Carpenter.
And even on that ground ball, looked like Green was shaded a little bit towards second base.
Yes.
So the first 2 have reached, and here's Corey Hart. As Al told you earlier, he had that solo home run at Busch Stadium against Wainwright. Corey Hart was an all-star last year. He's hitting .242 with 4 home runs, and he's driven in 18. Nick Stavino with a solo home run. The Cardinals lead it 1-0. Ken Maka has said that the players make out the lineup. And what he means by that is that if you produce, you play.
His example, Billy Hall in today's lineup.
Ken Maka averaged 92 wins in his time with Oakland. 6 years he played the major leagues, and he finished up in Japan. And one of the reasons they brought him here, Doug Melvin, the GM, was saying, well, they turned their roster over in Oakland. We may have to do the same here. Lower market team as far as payroll is concerned. Molina to first. And back in there safely is Cameron.
Molina's picked off 29 runners at first base. He's getting up there near the all-time. all-time catchers doing that.
Bud Rodriguez is the leader, I believe, in that category. Good pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bill Hall on deck. Both those starters yesterday were remarkable. Carpenter, the 2 hits allowed in 8 innings. Gallardo, 2 hits in 8 innings. He threw a season high 126 pitches in that game. The check swing.
One of the rare.
And he went. Strikeout.
Second strikeout. Corey Hart has one hit in the 5 games against the Cardinals, and it was that game winner solo home run against Adam.
So here is Bill Hall. Well, we saw that the double switch was messed up in game 1. It was to the benefit, though, for Milwaukee as Hall came up and delivered with the clutch hit with 2 outs. In the misplay by Bart in the air, and then what looked to be a tailor-made double play, but McClellan, you can't blame him. You go after the ball. He deflected it. That took away the potential of the double play, and then Hall would deliver. One-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. So here it is yesterday. Low and away, and he went and got it.
It's down. The winning run scores, and a 1-0 Cardinal feat in extra innings. Wasted performance by Carpenter. Carpenter achieved something that doesn't happen often yesterday. In the last 5 seasons, only one other pitcher failed to earn a win despite throwing at least 8 scoreless innings, recording 10 or more strikeouts, and not issuing a walk. Tim Lincecum last month did it against Arizona. Prior to Carpenter, the last Cardinal who did not win a game under those conditions was Lee Meadows in 1917.
Wow. Here's a 2-1 pitch. 2-2. Well, Ken Maka isn't the only one that's messed up a double switch before. A lot of times, you know, there's a lot of technical things that happen with the lineup card that's turned in. Joe Madden, for instance, listed 2 third basemen and lost a designated hitter earlier this year.
Ouch.
Especially, you say ouch when it's Evan Longoria that has to sit. Breaking ball and a high fly ball into right center. Stavino over under it, makes the catch. Fielder stays put at second. So the first 2 reached, and now a strikeout and a flyout. Here's Jason Kendall. This date in history, 1992. The Wizard collects his 2,000th hit in a 5-2 loss to the Dodgers at Busch Stadium. And Jason Kendall, of course, part of the 2,000 hit club.
He did it in St. Louis, and memory serves me right, Ozzy's was a triple.
It was. I was at the game at Busch Stadium. 2 outs, first and second. And a curveball misses up and away. The Cardinals defensively tonight. This is presented by Auto Tire. Look at the infield, and the battery tonight is Wainwright and Molina. Auto Tire defense. 1-0 pitch to Kendall. 2 balls and no strikes with Jeff Suppan on deck. Kendall has been durable in his time with the Pirates and now with Milwaukee. No batting gloves for Jason Kendall. A rarity these days. This is prior to the game tonight as he picked up an award for hit number 2,000.
And the oddity of that is I think he's only the 8th catcher all time to do that.
Here's a 2-1 pitch with 2 runners on and 2 outs. Long look by Wainwright. Good pitch. 2-2.
Cutter right out there, down and away. Great location.
The 2-2 pitch to Kendall. Here it comes. Breaking ball, a check swing, and did he go? No. Watching Kendall's reaction, he turned his back as if to say, I just don't want to look at this because I went.
I think you're right. In my mind, he goes on that delivery, and then he just tries to sell it and say turn your back like, oh, I know I didn't go, but
right.
you know, and then I don't really want to see the result. Should be see if it's a breaking ball.
Another 3-2. Little check swing. Green charges off his glove, and everybody's safe. That could be the 7th error. It is on Khalil Green.
Breaking ball, reaches for it, rolls over on it. Khalil comes in there and it rolls up his glove.
What is going through his mind right now? Base is loaded for Suppan.
That's the thing, is you just want him to clear his head and just figure out how he's going to help get out of this inning without them scoring. Really up to Adam Wainwright to pitch around the miscue. And with the pitcher up, you've got to believe that you're better, and so you give him 4 outs.
The 1-0 pitch. Suppan. A swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. And you talk to the teammates of Khalil Green, they're all very much pulling for him. He's a quiet guy, but one that they very much like inside that Cardinals clubhouse. It's a game of failure in many ways, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, you have to deal. Just remember, the best hitter fails 7 times out of every 10. So there is a lot of failure, and it's how you deal with that. And if you let it beat you up, you can't stay at this level very long. And you're talking about a young man that had a brilliant collegiate career, a very good rookie season. A couple years ago, he was a star offensive player.
Suppan with a high fly ball out to center. This should do it. Rasmus under it to make the catch. 1-0 Cardinals. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by the Casino Queen, home of the loosest slots. Cardinals hitting coach is Cal McRae. We talked to him before the game about facing an old friend, Jeff Suppan.
Generally, when you struggle offensively, you're chasing balls down in the strike zone or balls out of the strike zone. And with Suppan, he pitches soft and away. And mainly what we have to do is be patient. And what I stress is that they get him up and get a good pitch to hit. Don't chase soft down.
It's Al McRae on facing Soup.
And basically, that's why I feel the Cardinals are going to have a tough time, because that's how he pitches, and they've been chasing of late.
Here's Joe Thurston. It's amazing how many of the Cardinals not only go to Hal McRae, but they also go to Albert Pujols.
Why not?
I agree.
We went to dinner last night, and Joe Thurston was at dinner with Albert Pujols, getting a little extra.
Up the middle and a base hit. Hard hit ball from Joe Thurston.
And Thurston really needed that. Only 2 for his last 28. So go to dinner with Albert, and you come up and you start hitting.
Just rubs off, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I kind of kidded him. I said, you know, oh, so you're picking up the check? He goes, oh, yeah. When you have that opportunity to pick Albert's brain,
you do it.
Yeah, I don't know who ultimately won. That was none of my business, but he was more than willing to pick up the tab.
And here is Skip Schumacher, and he fouls it back the first pitch. Skip grounded to short his first time up. Talked to Ryan Ludwig today. He feels great. He is set to go for San Francisco, and he brought up an interesting point, because a lot of these hitters and pitchers rely so much on video, and he says he never looks at himself on video, always looks at the opposing pitcher. He says he studies a lot of video but doesn't want to look at himself because he feels that he might find something wrong with his swing, but he said I might find 5 or 10 different things wrong with my swing, and all of a sudden I'm thinking too much when I'm at the plate.
That's a great point. You know, it's so tough that if you're hitting or pitching, you go up there trying to break down everything mechanically instead of just muscle memory.
0-1 pitch. Runner goes, and Thurston winds up at second easily.
That's why during batting practice you work on some little mechanical things during your side sessions as a pitcher. But once the game starts, clear your mind, work plan on situational hitting, but just let that natural, ability take over and the muscle memory.
Ludwig said something interesting to me. He said his favorite player growing up was Eric Davis, and he says, then I look at my career with my injuries and then think about what Eric Davis has gone through. Here's a 1-1. Good at bat here by Schumacher to advance the runner.
Well, it's a productive out. He moves the runner up, and with less than 1 out, you just think. Remember what Hal McRae just talked about. What you have to lay off of is this pitch. Chasing a pitch out of the strike zone that is down. And Suppan is not as sharp as he was in St. Louis. He's left more pitches up out over the plate, but he still very much feels that he can win this battle with less than 2 outs. The infield's in. He's got a guy that he can strike out.
First pitch low and in to Duncan, who singled his first time. Infield is drawn in, outfield is deep and straight away. Duncan against Suppan, very good numbers at .462 his average. Albert Pujols on deck. 1-0 pitch to Duncan. Takes it for a strike.
Almost when he throws a fastball, it stuns you, especially if it's a strike.
Suppan's contract will be up after next year. That's why a lot of folks that follow this Milwaukee team, they feel that Peavy could fit right in. They could absorb some of that money that's left on the deal, which would be over $70 million if they picked up the option as well, or Jake Peavy if they made that trade.
Well, one of the things that Suppan, they have seen him defeat the Cardinals at will, but have a lot of trouble with the rest of the National League. His numbers are not that good, when he's not playing against the Cardinals.
He had 4 years, just over $40 million. The 2-1 pitch. The thing that that you get with Suppan is every 5th day he's out there,
right,
and close to 200 innings.
Consistently, you kind of look at him as a 6th inning pitcher. He's going to allow 3 runs. If he falls behind, he'll still pitch, make it very competitive, give you a chance to come back and catch him.
The 3-1. Taken for a ball. First and third for Pujols. You're asking for trouble here. It's the first walk issued by Jeff Suppan. But Al, as you well know, you've got to have, even if Suppan doesn't win you 20 games, you got to have those kind of guys in a rotation that just eat up the innings, so it takes some of the burden off your bullpen.
Well, it's a shame that we talk about a guy that's really an innings eater who only gives you 6 innings to start.
Just the fact is, he stays healthy.
You make 34 starts, you go 6 innings, it's 200. But that's the rarity of today, is a guy that can give you that many innings.
Here's Pujols. Struck out his first time. Caught looking at a curveball. Pujols, deep left field. Did he get enough? Braun is back on the track and makes the catch. Thurston will tag up. He scores to make it 2-0.
Only the 3rd RBI for Albert off of Suppan. And a ball out away from him, puts a charge into it. Braun goes back on it nicely. And Thurston comes across with the 2nd run of the game.
So Molina will dig in with 2 outs and a runner at first. Inning started with a single by Joe Thurston. He stole second, advanced on the ground out by Schumacher, a walk to Duncan, and Pujols the sac fly. Molina tied up, but Kendall can't get to it. Strike one.
Hit it so weakly it didn't have enough height for Kendall to get back underneath it.
They have had 9 sellouts here at Miller Park after their sold-out crowd here yesterday in game 1 of this series. They've been averaging over 36,000 a game. We're expected to draw over 3 million fans again this year. 0-1 pitch to Molina. Shoots it foul. Well, Powerade along with Shop and Save are providing all kids ages 15 and under a Yadier Molina jersey backpack. The backpack will be distributed to kids prior to the June 7th game against Colorado. To purchase your tickets, visit STLCardinals.com.
In the early balloting for the All-Star game, Yadi is leading at the catcher's position, and Albert's leading all National League vote getters.
No surprise there, is it?
No, not at all. Now the spokesman for the All-Star game is Albert.
And the home run derby.
Apparently he will participate in that.
That's also a run the bases day for those kids that come out on June 7th. Have a chance to run the bases following the ball game. Ice cream sundae as well. 0-2 the count on Molina. Routed to third his first time up. Softly to second. McGee over to Fielder. The Cardinals have stranded 2, and they have a 2-0 lead. Friday, June 5th, the Cardinals play the Rockies. 25,000 fans will receive a poster featuring the 09 St. Louis Cardinals, courtesy of AT&T. To purchase tickets, visit STLCardinals.com. A 2-0 lead for the Cardinals here in the bottom of the third. Top of the lineup for Milwaukee, it's Craig Counsell, Casey McGee, and Ryan Braun. Counsell, the 38-year-old from South Bend, Indiana, as he graduated from Notre Dame with a degree in accounting. See, he's completely changed his stance. No longer is he holding the bat as high as he once did. Trying to quicken up the hands, and picks up a base hit opposite way.
Well, you get a little older, your bat speed slows down. You're not going to be playing every day. So he asked, what could I do to kind of improve my hitting? And that was suggestion. Lower your hands, have a quicker bat.
And here's Casey McGee. Boy, they have drafted well here recently. The Milwaukee Brewers. This is their team, homegrown talent, and lots of it. Corey Hart, J.J. Hardy, Prince Fielder, Ricky Weeks, Gallardo, Braun. Matt Laporta was used to pick up CC Sabathia. A lot of people questioned that at the time because Laporta, first baseman, and you already had Fielder there, but Doug Melvin said we were so close to winning. I felt if we had a chip like Laporta, we could get a big-time player, and they did. And I think the other part of that too, you're not sure if you're going to be able to retain a Prince Fielder. He signed a 2-year extension worth $18 million this last offseason after making just over $600,000 a year ago.
You know, the one thing I've got to be concerned about is what happens to that body.
I think the
in
same
a couple
thing.
years when you get a little bit older.
I totally agree. We were talking about that before the game with some folks on the Milwaukee side of things in their media, and you know, the other guy that I think you'd have to be worried about is CC Sabathia at the end of that deal.
Absolutely. Not to say that they may not have any physical injuries, breakdown, but a lot of stress on the joints. He was a nice pickup from the Cubs. They claimed him on waivers and get a chance to, with the injury to Weeks, and also with JJ out, he's getting a lot of playing time here.
So runner at first, and here comes a 2-1 pitch.
3-1. Should get a pretty good pitch here. Got any desire to send Counsell?
That's what I'm thinking, is that I'd start the runner, but they elect not to.
And that takes a pitch. Takes a 3-1 fastball. You get a great hitting count, and you just look at a strike. That would have been a perfect pitch for a hit and run. And Molina has something to do with it.
Now he's going, and a throw down to second. All for naught. It goes into center field.
And there's an error.
And that was ball 4. So first and third, and nobody out.
Ball 4. He went ahead and executed the throw, a bad throw, and Molina's first error. Counsell running here. It's ball 4. You see the bad throw. Counsell gets up and runs. So with nobody out, they have runners at first and third.
And now it's Ryan Braun, a chance to do some damage here. The 5th overall pick in 2005 from Mission Hills, California.
And he is a hitter, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Face of their franchise. And you know, he's one of those guys that you watch his mannerisms, you watch some of the things, and maybe if the opposition doesn't like him, but they say he gets it. And very good in the community, very good with the media, and we know he can hit.
Yesterday was the 2nd anniversary of Braun's debut in the majors. 79 home runs he's hit in that time. 79.
Remember, so he came up in late May, and I think he made like 26 errors at third base that first year. Had to get him off the third. They put him out in the outfield. He didn't make an error all last season.
His mom works at Anheuser-Busch out in California. I talked to Ryan before the game. I said, is she still there? He said, yeah. He said, I hope maybe that'll ease up the fans in St. Louis on me. I said, probably not. He was laughing when he said it. But he does get it, Al. He's a very friendly guy, and his demeanor, and I think the way he carries himself, it doesn't project how he really is.
Right. You know, and it's kind of a, you know, he's very brash. He's very confident. You can tell by his offensive numbers, but he goes out there, you know, he's a warrior. He's a competitor, and you may not like the way he does it, but I bet if he's on your team, you would have no problem with his mannerisms.
His dad is Israeli born and immigrated to the United States at 7. And he said his father was a huge influence in his life. They put a batting cage up in the backyard, and away he went. And apparently he has always hit. Signability coming out of high school was a major problem, and he told everybody, I'm going to play at the University of Miami, so don't even look at me. So he went undrafted out of high school, but he was a first-team All-American and the National Freshman of the Year as a shortstop for the Miami Hurricanes.
You know, I talked with John Mozeliak, Cardinal general manager, yesterday, and we were talking about, you know, the decision for high school players whether to sign or not, whether they go on to college, and he gave some pretty good advice, and I'll tell you in a second.
Here's a 2-2 pitch to Braun. Hit by the pitch. Bases loaded.
Hit on the hand, but John Mozeliak said that he thought that it would have to be $2.5 million offer to tell a youngster not to go to college. If you get $2.5 million or more, then you sign and go play professional baseball. If you get less than that, then you should go to college.
And John was the one running the drafts when the Cardinals picked up a guy named Pujols and Yadier Molina. 2 cornerstone pieces of this franchise.
Part of what he's saying is, you know, you get a guy that gets less money, year or two, he's out of the game. Now, what does he have?
Fielder slowly hits, charging. Khalil Green throws on the run, and out at first is Prince Fielder. The run scores to make it 2-1.
Just wasn't hit hard enough, and a much tougher play for Khalil Green. And this time he gets the job done, but Fielder gets an RBI, and we have a 2-1 game. little clunker off the end of the bat, and Thurston can't get to it. Khalil Green circles it, throws on the run. Albert holds on, but they do get a run across the board.
So runners at second and third with one out, and here's Cameron. Base hit could put Milwaukee on top. Cameron known for his defense, but he's hit 9 home runs this year, and he'll pop it up into shallow right. Calling for it, Schumacher makes the catch, and the runner stays put at third. So Cameron cannot deliver. Big out there, and there's 2 away.
Hanging breaking ball right there. Got underneath it. You know, that's one of those situations where you know anything hit in the air, Schumacher feels very comfortable. But Stavanoa let him field that ball with the runner at third base. He's backpedaling where the outfielder coming in has a much better angle and has his momentum behind him if you need to throw home.
I was actually surprised he didn't take that ball.
That, you know, under those circumstances, it's much easier. The right fielder should have called him off.
Now it's Corey Hart, and he taps one foul. Hart struck out his first time. A check swing.
Kind of get the idea that there's a little extra determination from Wainwright when Corey Hart's in the batter's box. Beat him with a solo home run in St. Louis. Now he has a chance to do damage again. Both times he's come up with runners in scoring position. But you beat me one time, you're not going to beat me twice.
He's now 4 for 22 against Wainwright in his career. 1 ball, 1 strike. In many ways, this is an unforgiving lineup here with the Milwaukee Brewers. But do they have enough pitching over the long haul of 6 months?
Gallardo was awfully good yesterday, but his own manager was saying that he separated himself from the pack yesterday, but he's been inconsistent, and the others are kind of so-so. That just don't have that Ben Sheets when he was healthy. CC Sabathia after the trade. Gallardo's pretty good, though.
Very good. Here's a 1-2. If the Cardinals pitch like this, regardless of their hitting problems, they're going to stick around.
Yes, they are. And as you pitch as effectively as you have, and Bears mentioned again, their ERA now is the best in the major leagues. And I was not as confident about this offense as John Mozeliak and Tony La Russa. But when you get this kind of pitching, you should be right there winning ball games, because you can be winning those close ones 3-2, 4-3.
When the Cardinals picked up Khalil Green, they thought they were getting a guy, and you see the pitch count at 60. They thought they were getting a plus offensive player who just had one of those rare down years.
And a very good defensive player, but he's not right now.
And a strikeout of Hart, and that's 3 this evening for Wainwright. Stavanoa is due up third when we come back. Well, join us for afternoon baseball tomorrow. The Cardinals wrap up their series with the Brewers here in Milwaukee. Coverage starts at 11:30 with Cardinals Live. The Cardinals and the Brewers tomorrow in high definition right here on Fox Sports Midwest. Hot dogs, brats. Bill County Stadium had pretty good brats. Miller Park has really good brats because they actually have been able to, I think, clean the grills here. Colby Rasmus with a high fly ball right center field. Cameron is back at the wall, and it's gone. Colby Rasmus with his 5th home run. He cut his hair, and now he's 1 for 2 with the new haircut. Had to do a double take at the team hotel yesterday.
We talked about it at dinner last night that he cut his hair, but I haven't really seen it yet. And just sneaks over the wall in center field for his 5th home run. But the hits, the average just sinking, and you don't want to become a home run hitter. There you see, you look at all the shaggy hair is gone.
Here's Green.
Glad he's not Samson.
Colby needed that. Let's see if that gets him going a little bit.
Yeah, but I get worried when a guy keeps on hitting home runs. Because then you get uppercut, you're swinging for the fences, you get underneath things. His average has sunk down to, about in the 220s, low 220s.
And a strikeout of Khalil Green. Second strikeout for Jeff Suppan. 6 is a serious number. The Cardinals score 6. You get a 20-ounce coffee, fountain, or frozen drink for just $1 the next day at On the Run at Mobile. Win or lose, the Cardinals score 6. You score 25-cent drinks at On the Run. We forget he's only 22. We've just heard about Colby Rasmus, it seems like, for the past decade. His name has always been in conversations as far as one of the top players in the minor leagues. So Stabenoa grounds out. 1941. Bill Veeck, owner of the minor league Milwaukee Brewers, installed a mechanical outfield fence that could be raised when opponents batted. It might have helped with Colby Rasmus. But that's pretty good.
I don't think it's legal, but
I would seriously doubt it.
Yeah. But
what was the quirkiest ballpark you played at, Al?
look at this.
This is well hit. Left center. And Wainwright has gone deep. The pitcher, Adam Wainwright, his first in 2009. And he gets his old buddy, Jeff Suppan.
His 4th career home run, and there was no doubt about that one. Went off the back of the Brewers bullpen wall. 3 home runs here today for the Cardinals, and 2 this inning.
Stabenoa, Rasmus, and now Wainwright.
Suppan has been victimized by the home run ball this year. He's now allowed 12.
Here's Thurston. Cardinals with 5 base hits. It's 4-1. To the quirkiest ballpark. I'm all ears.
Me too. Minor league, big leagues?
Oh, I'm saying big leagues.
Okay.
I'm sure some of our fans have probably been to this ballpark.
I didn't play in Crosley Field. That's where you had the original hill. That was the only one. I played in Forbes Field, played in Connie Mack.
That's sharply hit, and a base hit just inside the first base line. Takes an odd hop off that side wall, and Thurston will stay put at second base.
Los Angeles Coliseum was very odd.
Short porch.
The Dodgers played there where it was about 250 to left center into the power alley, so they put up the high screen that Wally Moon hit his moonshot to get over, but then it was real deep in right. Down and in. Left-handed batter just drops the bat head off the side wall, and that's one thing. Thurston among the team leaders in doubles.
Ace 2 for 2 tonight with a single and a stolen base. A run scored back in the 3rd on the sac fly by Pujols, and now this double with 2 outs. And here's Skip Schumacher. Schumacher is grounded out to short, also grounded out to second.
It's like activity. I believe it's Seth McClung trying to throw in the Brewers bullpen.
Just floats up there at 70 miles an hour by Jeff Suppan.
He's not fooling anybody today.
No, he's not.
And a lot of his pitches, as Hal McRae said, try to get him up. That he's helping out and getting the ball up out over the plate, something he did not do in St. Louis. Everything was down and on the corners.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Skip Schumacher. Like one of the reasons the Cardinals are hitting these ropes, because John Mabry is a batting practice pitcher now.
So you're just saying that he's sped up their bats.
He sped them up.
That's what you said.
Of course, I didn't mention that John also threw BP yesterday.
Well, yesterday he was a pitcher. Today he learned that the object is to let him hit the ball.
The 2-0 pitch. And there's a base hit into right field. Thurston being waved in. The throw from Hart in right, not in time, and the ball scoots away. And it's 5-1 Cardinals with a 2-out base hit by Skip Schumacher to score Thurston.
And it's been quite a while since the Cardinals have scored 3 or more runs in an inning, or have had at least 5 runs. This is the 14th consecutive game. And now they've scored 5 runs, but it took 14 games to score 5 runs for the game.
And again, they have not scored more than 5 runs since May 10th. That could have been the knockout blow.
I think the slow death walk is an indication of it.
So very short outing for Suppan. That's going to be it. Some boos for Suppan here in Milwaukee. It's 5-1 St. Louis. He's a big man out there. Takes over for Jeff Suppan, who lasts 3 2/3. Now here we are in the first couple of months of this season for the Milwaukee Brewers in Major League Baseball, and the Brewers have seen Suppan now 4 different starts give them 5 or fewer innings, and they need obviously innings out of him and better production.
He got 2 outs this 4th inning and then 3 consecutive hits. And McClung has been very, very good. You said a big man, 6'6", listed at 262, but I think that's a little bit on the light side, as he's quite broad. Last pitch Friday, ERA of.
Duncan pops it up on the infield, and Counsell is there to put it away. So McClung will send us to the bottom of the 4th. Home runs aplenty tonight for the Cardinals, and 2 in this inning. Rasmus with his 5th, Wainwright with his 1st. 5-1 St. Louis. Well, let's take a look at tonight's Hardy prime cuts of the game. We'll start with Colby Rasmus.
You can see the ball's up out over the plate, hits it to center field, and Wainwright just too much of the plate, and a line drive to left center. Stavanoa got a pitch inside that he rifled. Line drive over the left field wall for his first major league home run.
And so Suppan only lasts 3 2/3 tonight. In his 6 starts against St. Louis as a Brewer, he had allowed only 1 home run. Tonight he gives up 3. And only 1 time in his career had he allowed 4 home runs, and that was prior to his time in St. Louis. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Adams got some 4-run lead, and the only run that the Brewers scored against him was unearned last inning.
Wainwright's last home run was in 2008. It was also against Milwaukee. One ball and 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss, and Wainwright picks up his 4th strikeout here tonight. So no Soup for you. The career against Suppan, you've got Stavanoa, Rasmus, and Wainwright. They all have hit a home run against Jeff Suppan, but not Albert Pujols.
I think we ought to get a copy of that graphic and send it, run it down there to Stavanoa, to Rasmus, and to Wainwright after this Cardinal victory, and let them say, eat your heart out.
It might be the last time.
Well, that's why you got to do it right away.
Right. You better hurry. Here's Jason Kendall. Cardinals lead it 5-1. Kendall shoots it down the right field line. It's slicing and foul out of play. Suppan, his first 2 starts of the year, he lasted 4 innings at San Francisco, and then against the Cubs 3 2/3. The deepest he has gone in a game this year was at Busch Stadium against the Cardinals. He went 7 innings.
And talk to the Brewers, they'll say that's the finest game he's pitched wearing the Brewers uniform.
1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out and nobody on. And a swing and a miss. And that's 5 tonight for Adam Wainwright. Let's turn to our Aflac trivia question. How many seasons were the Pilots in Seattle before moving to Milwaukee and becoming the Brewers? I was talking, by the way, with Bob Uecker. He said you have the young fans, you see 1 season, that know the Brewers, and he said, but there are so many great players prior to that with different teams that were around here in the minor leagues. And he said the baseball was so good because he was born and raised here that a lot of people don't understand how good it was in Wisconsin. It's slicing, and the catch made on the run. So the Cardinals have that big inning, and then Wainwright comes up with a 1-2-3 inning to send us to the 5th. Cardinals fans, when it comes to tickets, you deserve Major League service, so go online to StubHub. It's the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals and the only site with Fan Protect guaranteed. And we get questions all the time, as you see Catalinato takes over left field about All-Star Game tickets. One way to get them is at StubHub, and that'll be a significant check you'll be writing.
College education check.
Here's McClung, of course, in his 2nd inning of work. Catalinato made the jump from Double-A back to the major leagues.
Well, he was released. Cardinals was released by the Rangers at the end of spring training and only played about 3 games at the Double-A level. Signed mid-May by the Brewers just to get some at-bats, and he's up here to primarily be a left-handed pinch hitter.
He was at Class Double-A Huntsville, and he was very pleased he didn't have to take a bus ride, he said. He had taken those bus rides, he said, about 14, 15 years ago, and he said, that was it. I'm not doing it. Now, remember, Braun was hit by a pitch. And wasn't it McClung a couple of years ago that,
yes, it
that
was.
hit Pujols?
Yes, and very weird situation as they were trying to go for a pennant race and struggling, and they got into a little throwing match, and it might have cost them their postseason.
Three balls and no strikes. And as players will tell you, it doesn't necessarily have to be settled that night in that game or even in that series. A lot of times you can even up the score by hitting a player, by carrying that back to the following season.
I was always taught that you never let something personal get in the way of a team victory. Many times Tony just takes care of things that single day, and more important for him to send the ultimate message. So
McClung walks Pujols in a 5-1 game. That's how we start this 5th inning. Let's go pitch by pitch.
Power pitcher. He just kind of, a lot of fastballs, is working in on him. There's a slider out there. He come back with a fastball back inside. This one gets some more of the plate fouled off, and out speed and a walk. So McClung has been very good. He got the final out last inning, relieving Suppan. Been very good with his numbers this year. ERA 0.6.
Here's Molina. Molina really struggling. He's 0 for 2 right now, and his average has dipped under 280.
Now the Cardinals don't need the offense from the cleanup spot today, but they are now 3 for their last 35 from the cleanup spot.
Wainwright trying to pick up his 5th win. If the Cardinals can hold on and defeat Suppan, he would drop to 3-4, and the Cardinals and Brewers would be tied once again atop the National League Central Division. Since May 20th, the Cardinals pitchers have a .82 ERA. Cardinals starters .97. That includes Wainwright with what he's doing here tonight. Hit and run was on, and Pujols is in a rundown. Albert is avoiding the tag, and then now he's tagged out. He
went
was
out of the baseline.
Molina just had to throw the bat at it.
Goes out there, he's looking in on the hit and run, and then when contact was not made, tries to get in a pickle. Wasn't tagged there, but you see the second base umpire crew chief saying you ran out of the base path, avoiding the tag.
You could understand why you want to do that with Molina, who makes contact and rarely strikes out.
Well, one of the equations is you have to have a pitcher that throws strikes.
And that was a tough pitch to make contact with, as he had to throw the bat at it. 1-2 is the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, but how are the numbers for the Cardinals since May 20th in their pitching staff? That's remarkable.
You know, the Cardinals got off to such a great start. They got because their starters were 14-2 in April. Then they hit a wall and had an ERA of almost 6 up until that May 20th, and they turned it around.
Probably the low point of the season was against Milwaukee at home.
Oh, they couldn't throw strikes. But I think one thing, Dave Duncan mentioned something over the weekend, that what turned it around was he got everybody to kind of look and observe and what they're doing wrong. And I've always said you learn more from your mistakes, your defeats, than you do from your victories.
Fouled back by Molina.
And just got them to zero back in what was working and what was not. They're much more aggressive, and I think part of it is throwing a lot more fastballs.
Do you think there's a sense of urgency, even though it's May, to somehow find themselves a bat to get some type of protection or production in the lineup outside of Pujols?
I think if you went down that dugout and asked Tony La Russa and his staff, the answer would be yes. We asked the front office, the answer is no.
And that's why we hear the name of Brett Wallace because of his bat. And most people will tell you, at least defensively, he's not ready for this level.
And I heard even today that John Mozeliak said we're not going to rush him. He needs to stay down there as part of his development. So he's not, in their mind, part of that equation.
And
I think that's smart for the long run.
And the news right now with Bloss is that progress has been very slow there. So at some point, you've got to start saying, okay, hey, we're in June. We need some production from that corner spot.
Well, you won't have, even if Troy Glass were to, on June 1st, when they're really going to be the next evaluation, said, okay, I'm ready to go. You know, he's really not going to be helping until after the All-Star break.
Right. Needs to get himself back in playing shape. Take some at-bats, see some live BP, whatever the case may be. Baseball-related activity, and which he's done none of.
You might, and John Mozeliak is prepared that it may be that they do not get any contribution for him this season. And at that time, he knows that there's a likelihood that it would have to go outside the organization and, you know, go the trade route.
Here's Rasmus, who was homered tonight. Pitch that's a strike on Rasmus, a high strike, but a stolen base for Molina. Now, we showed you just moments ago that Prince Fielder was playing behind the runner at first base, but still you've got to keep him close, even if it is Molina at first.
Well, he got a walking lead. They didn't jockey him back, but that's the pitcher's fault. He's not paying attention at all, and Yachty picks up his 3rd steal of the season. He just picked McClung blindly, and then the high throw, and Kendall couldn't find the handle. It popped out of his glove.
Now it's 0-2 on Rasmus, and that's a called 3rd strike. Tough at bat there for Rasmus. And let's go back to the 4th inning. This is his home run.
Ball up out over the middle of the plate, gets underneath it, hits a towering fly ball over the center field wall for his 5th major league home run.
See Kendall point at his front shoulder. Here's Khalil Green.
Letting it fly open. And we talk about how a pitcher sends such a positive, you know, the demeanor on the mound. You watch just the mannerism of Khalil Green. You know, you wonder, you can see where his mind is so far. He's just wandering up there. He's almost, and desperately needs something positive, because when it goes negative, those shoulders droop, he's walking down, the head's hanging. Got to battle your way through it.
A lazy fly ball, and that'll find the seats. Again, John Mozeliak today in the Cardinals dugout was asked about Khalil Green and dealing with this situation, and the word that he always uses, patience. You just have to have patience with this situation. 2 balls and 1 strike. Just not seeing that quick bat that we saw a couple years ago.
Everything's just dragging through. It's almost like thinking, you know, he's just no muscle memory. There's too much thought process going on.
We had that shot of Khalil working with Al McRae back home in St. Louis. Nels talked about trying to get his hands through the zone and get the barrel through it as well. Right. Don't drag through the zone.
And Albert's been working with him, trying to give him a few little pointers here and there.
And Green draws a walk. So that's 3 walks in the inning by Seth McClung.
Bill Castro, pitching coach, come out and talk to McClung. Castro, 18 years in the Brewers bullpen before getting the pitching coach job this year under Ken Maka.
Well, I was saddened today about the news of a young boy back home in St. Louis, Hoyt Stout, who lost his battle with cancer today. He was at the Children's Hospital in St. Louis, and want to wish his family the best. And as they said, he's not in pain any longer, so the heart goes out to him. Little boy, only 4 years old, and lost his battle with cancer.
And I know you visited him last week in St. Louis, and she said condolences to the family, and he's at a better place.
Here's Stavanoa with runners at first and second. And Hoyt, even though he was 4, is a huge Cardinals fan, and his family is as well, and they would watch the games in the hospital as he was going through his treatments. 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mick Stavanoa with his first major league home run back in the 2nd inning. He's also grounded out to short. Long night for Jeff Suppan. It's got to be tough when you're a pitcher, and Soup gave up this home run to Nick Stavanoa. But you know, now you just sit there and watch this game after you just went 3 2/3, and you have to wait 5 days to get back out there to try to figure it out again.
It's tough. That's why a lot of times you take a starter, you put them in the bullpen, and when they're used consistently, they say, hey, this is great. Can't dwell on my victories, but I sure can forget my losses quickly too.
That's Billy Hall to his left in a force play at second base. Cardinals strand 2, and they lead it 5-1. What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light. The difference is drinkability. Game 3 tomorrow. Early start 11:30 with our telecast with the pregame show. Hope you join us tomorrow at 11:30. Brewers and Cardinals in Game 3. Here in Game 2, it's 5-1 as we move to the bottom of the 5th and the top of the lineup. Ray Council grew up in this area, and his father worked in the front office for the Milwaukee Brewers on the marketing side.
And a couple World Series rings, one in Florida, one in Arizona. Back here in his hometown, and he's been swinging the bat well. He's raised his batting average over 100 points in his last 24 games.
Yeah, his dad, his name is John, and he was an outfielder in the Twins organization. You talk about those World Series championships, 1997. He scored the winning run for Florida, and he's on the bases for Luis Gonzalez and his game-winning hit against the Yankees. Talk about some pressure games he's played in.
That's fun.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Counsell, a swing and a miss, and strikeout number 6 tonight for Wainwright. You know, John Mabry was just in our booth. I was visiting with him today, and he says, you know, I have a collection of a few things over my career that I keep, and he said probably the one that stands out for me from my Cardinal days was the minor league player of the month in 2004. And he said the reason that it means so much to me and that I've kept it is that I fought back in the minor leagues, as that's handled by Thurston, to get back to the major leagues, get over 10 years of big league service, and then extend that for a couple of more contracts. He said a lot of people counted me out and thought I was done.
Oh, absolutely. And watch that bubble you're blowing when you get a line drive thrown at you. Don't make it too big.
But he said it really got my juices going, and that fire started to burn again.
Well, that's it. And you really can't, you know, you should be very proud of that. And when you first said minor league award, I was trying to, kind of was going in that direction, because it's not easy when you've been in the big leagues to go back down, but sometimes it's necessary.
And he said, I truly got it out of my system. He said, I really don't miss playing. I don't miss, you know, being around the ballpark. He's got 4 little kids back home in St. Louis.
Yeah, that is so true, Dan. You know, you've got to understand why your career is over, or that it has come to a close, and then you can enjoy and appreciate the guys that still have the physical skills that you once had. But you have to recognize that, you know, your career's over, and no one can take it away because it's in history.
Said George Kissel, before he passed away, sent him a very nice letter. And he said George was obviously one of the biggest influences in his career, because John moved all over the place as he played as a utility guy. That said, you will make a great coach someday, don't give it up. And he said that always sticks with him right now. And also, he said his grandpa, who taught him the game, wanted him to coach.
He said, give something back.
Exactly. He said it's almost like you're a college professor and you've got all this information that you need to pass on to other players. So he said at some point he might get back in the game, as Catalanato grounds out to Pujols. It's 5-1. Baseball brought to you by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. And by Canon, the all-new Rebel T1i, now shooting in full HD video, inspired by Canon. It's time to bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Home runs aplenty for the Cardinals here tonight.
Got some knocks tonight.
Yeah, the Redbirds with 7 base hits and a 5-1 lead. 1 ball, 1 strike.
1 base hit that Wainwright, or excuse me, the 1 run that Wainwright allowed is an unearned run.
I don't know if you've seen that Adam Kennedy's really played well for the Oakland A's. Had 4 hits yesterday. Been filling in as Mark Ellis, their everyday second baseman, has been hurt.
Well, that's good to see.
Well,
but
yeah.
There's another guy that sucked it up, went down to the minor leagues, regrouped, and got rewarded. Got traded from Tampa Bay to Oakland, and then back up to the big leagues.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Cardinals are paying his salary here in 2009. Final year of that 3-year contract. And the count is full on Wainwright, who was homered tonight and also grounded out to short. Cardinals are 17-9 at home and a game under 500 on the road. Second strikeout for McClung.
See, he's got a power arm and he throws very hard, but not too sure how comfortable a lot of hitters are with his 3 walks tonight, as he's kind of all over the place. Thurston's had a good night. Good to see.
2 for 2 with 2 runs scored. Thurston had that rocket that was hit at him last inning. And the 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball and a strike.
Backdoor breaking ball is will kind of move you around at both sides of the plate.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. Love a baseball fun fact of how they used to do it. At least certain players keep their leg strength up in the off season. Now, if that doesn't make you stick around, nothing will. So, Al, your off season consisted of
running.
0-2 pitch. Right center. Cameron over to make the play. So baseball fun fact. Here we go. And it concerns Ty Cobb walking with lead in his shoes in the offseason to keep up his leg strength.
Now there were no weights. You know, a lot of guys, you know, had to country strong on the farm kids, throwing bales of hay and doing that kind of manual labor, bricklayers.
And they did that because they needed a job.
They needed a job.
It is amazing, not to say that it's easy for a player to go on the DL, but the reluctance to stay off it because, you know, back when Red Shandy's is playing, back when you're playing, I mean, those guys, hey, people ready to take your job.
You didn't go on the disabled list. Usually, and it was a 21-day disabled list back then, but usually if a guy, you know, was on the disabled list, the first time you went on there was at the end of your career, probably your last season or two. It just was unheard of. There were no surgeries.
1-2 and a base hit for Skip. Into right center. Is he thinking too? Yes, he is. The throw from Cameron not in time. And Schumacher has his second base hit. He's 2 for 4 on the night. Good hustle.
Good to see that. Just love to see someone just leave the batter's box thinking to double, make the defense stop you. Cameron, a right-handed thrower, going into right center. You know, it's an awkward throw for him, so it's worth the gamble to get yourself in scoring position with 2 outs.
So 2 outs and a chance for Duncan, who has been on base twice with a walk, a single, and he's also popped out to short. Up and in.
How many players' careers were cut short with what became known as Tommy John surgery or rotator cuff surgery? You either found a new way to invent yourself or you went home.
1 ball, 1 strike. We will see Cincinnati in the upcoming homestand next week. 4 games with Cincinnati, 4 with Colorado, and Brandon Phillips will hopefully be back in the lineup for the Reds.
Got a fractured, is it thumb?
I believe it is his thumb.
Yeah, hairline fracture, but he's not wanting to go on the disabled list. Thinks once the swelling goes down a little bit in a day or 2 that he will be able to play through the pain and avoid the disabled list. That's an indication of how it used to be done.
That was a ground ball that took his nail off, all of it, and also fractured a bone. So you stick around.
Stick around.
Chris Duncan, high drive, right field, track, wall, and it's gone. A 2-run homer for Duncan. 7-1 Cardinals. And the Cardinals have picked up 4 home runs here tonight. Duncan with his 4th.
2 more RBIs, giving the total up to 26. And the Cardinals, who have trouble scoring runs, are not doing so here tonight with the long ball. But the good thing is the good pitching has continued for the Cardinals staff. So Tony's seen a couple of errors in this game, so the defense hasn't been as good as it needs to be, but he's had the pitching and offense.
So here is Pujols. One ball, 1 strike, and 6. Cardinals have scored 6 runs. You get a 20-ounce coffee, fountain, or frozen drink, or just acquired the next day at On the Run at Mobile. 7-1 Cardinals here tonight. It's Duncan's first home run in quite a while, if memory serves correct. And a ground ball hit to second. Cardinals are through here in the top of the 6th, but they add to their lead. It's 7-1.
Looking for outdoor power equipment that's easy starting, lightweight, and powerful? Then look to SteelDealers.com, where you'll find a wide variety of yard care solutions, like hard-working steel grass trimmers. A nice selection starting at just $149.99. SteelDealers.com. Yard care solutions start at SteelDealers.com.
I feel like I save a great deal of money by shopping at Schnucks.
Let's take a look at tonight's Infinity game recap. Jeff Suppan, the former Cardinal, getting the start. And the Cardinals picked up 3 home runs against Soup. Stavanoa, Rasmus, and his counterpart Adam Wainwright all went deep. And the Cardinals have added to that with Chris Duncan's 2-run homer, and they lead it 7-1. Here's Prince Fielder. Fielder with the only RBI in the night, is 43rd for the Brewers. Fielder, Cameron, and Hart for Milwaukee. We're in the 6th. 2 balls and no strikes.
No free passes. Adams walking 1 tonight, and he's hit a batter. There was an error committed that inning for the unearned run back in the 3rd inning. Nina trying to get him back in the strike zone. And a lot of firepower on this Milwaukee ball club, so don't give me free passes.
3-1. Prince Fielder 1 for 2 tonight. Wainwright gets back the count to 4. Cardinals Live coming up with Pat Ferris. Be talking about the end of the slump. 9 hits tonight already and 7 runs. Ooh, that tails back in, but just a little bit high. And so the second walk issued by Wainwright here tonight.
85 pitches. There in his 5+ innings.
Now, you were talking about earlier, Bill Castro, 17 years as the bullpen coach. Willie Randolph, the former Mets manager, is a bench coach. Dale Swaim, who was their manager, is now a hitting coach. Ken Maka is now the new manager, and Brad Fisher is their third base coach. So different look in that dugout this season for a team that went to the playoffs a year ago.
Very odd that fired Ned Yost when they did, going down the stretch.
Dale Swaim then became the interim manager, and he sticks around now this year as the hitting coach. 0-2 the count on Cameron.
Maka sent teams to the postseason when he was with the Oakland. 2 times they reached October.
And Cameron just waves at it. He strikes out. at 7 on the night.
Just out there, just throwing that off-speed pitch down and away. Something looks good enough for them to be tempted and swing at it, but there's no way they're going to hit that pitch.
Corey Hart with a pair of strikeouts tonight. Adam Wainwright with 7. He has walked 2 and only allowed 3 base hits.
Mentioned how he's bared down on Corey Hart, who got the game-winning home run in a 1-0 game against Adam in St. Louis. That was his only hit this year against the Cardinals.
Ground ball and a base hit past Green into center. Runners at first and second. Walk, a strikeout, now a base hit, the 4th of the night for Milwaukee.
Just solidly hit up the middle. Only the 4th hit allowed by Wainwright tonight. Probably going to be his last inning of work, as that pitch count creeping up into the 90s now.
Here's Bill Hall. He's 0 for 2.
Swings hard, a double play candidate.
2 for his last 31. Hall has struck out and also flied out to right. 0 for 2. It's filled up here at Miller Park. Another big crowd.
It's good to see. And you know, with the game yesterday, a sellout crowd on the holiday, you would like to think some of those people were entertained enough they'd come back and watch their team play again.
This is an entertaining team to watch.
Yes, it is.
With their very good lineup. Offensively, very, very good. That's pulled hard to Thurston. He'll go to second, out there, and a double play. As you mentioned, hard hit ball and hits into a double play, and Hall can't believe it. He tattooed that and still can't pick up the base hit. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Jorge Julio, the new pitcher. 7-1 Cardinals here in the top of the 7th.
Travel, signed as a free agent.
Always been a guy that had a power arm. He throws hard. That last pitch at 94 this season. ERA over 6.
He hasn't not allowed a run his last 3 appearances. He's holding opponents to a 194 average. From Caracas, Venezuela, 6'1", 225.
This is our Chevy called to the bullpen. Jorge Julio. And a 1-1 pitch to Yadier Molina. I've not seen anybody up and throwing in the Cardinals pen just yet.
Reyes got up last inning, but with a double play, he sat down. So they may see if Adam can go out there.
The ball that was hit was a rocket.
Oh, yeah. Last couple innings, they've hit a few balls hard.
Here's a 1-2 to Molina.
Thurston's been in the way of 2 of them.
Yes, he has. He was looking at his arm as he went into the dugout. Kind of a welt. Cardinals a game out in the Central. Chicago has lost 8 straight. They've dropped to 5 games back. And one of the biggest stories in the National League, the San Diego Padres, they've won 10 straight. But still, they're 7.5 games out, as the Dodgers are 31-15. The Dodgers with the best record in baseball. Without Manny Ramirez.
Who needs Manny?
Well, Frank McCourt is none too pleased over what took place with Manny Ramirez. He's wanted Ramirez to apologize to teammates. He finally did that. They've been asking him to work out at Dodger Stadium. He finally did that. But it took a while, though, for him to do these things. This is after Manny wasn't getting the kind of money that he wanted in the offseason, and the Dodgers stepped up and paid him.
he didn't get anywhere near what he was asking for, or his agent. He wanted about $100 million. He had to settle for what, 45?
Yeah, 25 this season, and the option years at 20 million. Molina into shallow center field, and Cameron makes the catch.
That's how you do it. You take charge if you're the center fielder, but you hope McGee, the second baseman, kind of gets out of the way a little bit better.
The Dodgers have asked Ramirez to come clean about what he did and prove to the management team in Los Angeles, the fans, that he is truly sorry, and Frank McCourt has not seen that. Colby Rasmus is 1 for 3 tonight.
So this is one of those Manny being Manny things that
Yeah,
it doesn't sit well.
well, the way that he left Boston was disgraceful. Not hustling out ground balls, claiming he was hurt when he wasn't.
At some point you have to cut your losses, because that's the longer you put up with that, the more it's going to destroy a team.
1 ball, 1 strike.
I'd love it when somebody's getting paid $20 million and they're not, and ownership doesn't appreciate them.
It's tough. Guy hands you that kind of money.
What more do you want? Isn't that appreciation enough? You had a question for me before a Colby Rasmus home run.
I'm going to bring it up now. I mean, I don't want to jinx it. Two pitch. And Rasmus strikes out.
Backdooring breaking balls for their last 2 times for called strikes. See it right out there. Kobe couldn't believe it was called a strike, but he's rung up.
And here's Khalil Green. Walked, struck out, and flied out to right. So Julio gets his first strikeout this evening. Strike 1 on Khalil.
95 and just a very awkward swing.
Nick Stavinoa is on deck. He is homered tonight. Picked up the first home run. A 6-run lead for the Cardinals. Cardinals will have to make a move Friday when they activate Ryan Ludwig.
It'd be very interesting to me. You can see several different options.
You know, do you feel more protected now if you're Tony La Russa with the way that the starting pitching has been going, where you don't have to carry that extra pitcher?
I think that is a logical move. That's a real simplified move, but you know, who do you really get rid of out of there in the bullpen? Do you put Khalil Green on the disabled list? You know, give yourself more protection by having the additional, you know, bench player.
3-1.
And sometimes it maybe is more than one move.
One guy that started to play pretty well was Tyler Green.
Well, and that was one of the things. They wanted him to get the chance to play every day because he made such a favorable impression.
So a 2-out walk, and now it's Stavinoa. Stavinoa with a home run. Hit into a fielder's choice and also grounded out to short. Average at .219 with 1 home run and 6 RBIs.
There's one thing that's happened in this game too, Dan, that has not happened for the Cardinal offense for a while. Sure, we've hit 4 home runs, but the Cardinals also has walked 5 times. When they were struggling offensively, they weren't getting those free passes.
That's right.
In April, they had the good batting eye. They were getting a lot of walks, and so the Cardinals had very productive, and they led the National League in runs scored in April because of a lot of it because of the walks.
Hard hit ball up the middle. That's a base hit for Stabenow. So 2-out base hit. Runners at first and second.
Stabenow got called up when Ludwig went on the disabled list, but it would be very difficult to send him down the way he's been hitting of late. A couple clutch hits, 2 game winners in the Kansas City series. First major league home run tonight, and another base hit on top of it.
So 2 outs, and here is Wainwright. Wainwright hitting for himself in this spot. He is homered tonight. Grounded to short, also struck out. We're in the 7th, and the Cardinals have a 6-run lead. National League East, the Phillies lead New York by a half game, and a game and a half in front of Atlanta. Texas leading the West in the American League. They're 26-18, and a 3-game lead over Los Angeles. That's a bit of a surprise. Detroit over Kansas City by 4 games in the American League Central, and Boston leads New York by a game, and Toronto by a game and a half. Tampa Bay is 5 out. 2 balls and 1 strike. Julio started the inning with a flyout by Molina, a strikeout of Rasmus, and since then he's walked a man, Green. Stabenow with a base hit. And now the count is 3-1 on the pitcher, Adam Wainwright.
He's got 7+ years in the big leagues, 99 career saves, but he's bounced around. You can tell he's got a power arm, but
foul tip, strike 2.
It's like you classify him pretty much as just one of those raw throwers.
Three and 2. Remember the name Carlos Mayal?
Yes.
We have a baseball fun fact on Carlos May that you don't want to miss when we come back. So if you were thinking about going to get a brat, don't do it. The fun fact is next.
It's not just where you are, but where you want to be. And with smooth drinking Busch beer, the mountains closer than you think.
We're gonna climb a mountain, the highest mountain. Ain't never coming back.
Isn't it time to head for the mountains?
Can't you see? Can't you see?
What's your idea of financial security?
Financial security. Just protecting the roof over my head.
No matter where you're starting from, Country Financial can help you achieve it.
Retiring when I want to.
Your Country Financial representative can provide you with a tangible plan to protect what you have and plan for the future.
Some kind of safety net for my family.
At Country Financial, we always ask, what's your idea of financial security?
Kia presents the $17,400 Sportage versus the $17,400 RAV4. The Sportage has great fuel efficiency, Sirius satellite radio, MP3 input, and alloy wheels. The RAV4 does not. The Sportage has a 5-star crash safety rating. The RAV4 does not. The Kia Sportage, with features they can't beat at a price they can't match. There's really nothing to compare. Now starting under $14,400 after $3,000 cash back.
There are those those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Baseball fun facts. Carlos Mejia is the only Major League Baseball player to ever wear his birth date on the back of his uniform, May 17th.
Well, Carlos May, brother to Lee May, whether during the Vietnam era, in the military, and with a mortar accident blew his thumb off. But still played in the big leagues. Wasn't as successful as Lee May, who was an outstanding, major leaguer and RBI machine, but he did play in the big leagues for a few years.
And here is Jason Kendall. Not a bad 1-2 punch here for the Cardinals. Carpenter yesterday and Wainwright here tonight.
Well, that's when you think they're about the Cardinals. And if you get into postseason play with Carpenter, Wainwright, we've seen Pinheiro this year, the way he's dealt, Loesch, you get into a pretty good situation where you can match up against anybody's three. And then when Wellemeyer's on, you'll take the Cardinal 5 against anybody else's 5-man rotation.
And that's strikeout number 8 for Adam Wainwright. Another guy that stands out in that rotation right there, that's Kyle Loesch. He's pitched very well in his last start.
Wainwright has equaled his career high in strikeouts now. Third time he has struck out 8.
There's Jody Garrett. He came over from San Diego for Tony Gwynn Jr. So another Gwynn in a Padres uniform. We'll change up. 0-2.
Counsell used to have a batting style that held his hands way up. Now Garrett kind of starts his stroke that way, not straight up in the air, but his hands held high, the bat back, and getting to his trigger position.
And in the dirt, swung on and missed. The block by Molina to Albert Pujols. And Molina actually was tied up with a home plate umpire.
A new career high, and you see his feeling his forearm there a little bit.
I wonder if that's where he blocked it. And the umpire out to maybe Molina a little time.
Yeah. Let's take a look at it, see if the backswing doesn't come around and get him.
Sure did.
Yeah. It's all the way around, misses his head, and then he gets him on the right forearm. And Yachty appreciates the courtesy from the home plate umpire. Is okay, and now I'll get another second. Good grip in that forearm. And
so 2 outs. Top of the lineup. Here's Counsell. 9 strikeouts tonight for Wainwright. There's a base hit opposite field. Khalil Green was playing more towards second base.
Second.
Counsell is second base hit.
Yeah, it's either been a base hit or a strikeout tonight. So a new career high in strikeouts for Adam at 9. And 2 outs here in the 7th. Definitely want to get through this inning. Tony wants to call it quits after that, that's fine, but you just don't want to be relieved.
That's one of the problems with Wainwright. Mechanically, when he was out of whack, he was essentially a 6-inning pitcher.
And there were times that he threw so many pitches that it was borderline at 5.
The walks were high, something that he rarely does. Pitch number 105 is a fly ball into right. And the catch made by Schumacher. We played 7, and the Cardinals lead it 7-1. Back in Milwaukee, and let's turn to our Budweiser player of the game. Budweiser, the great American lager. And tonight it's Adam Wainwright, the Cardinals starter. 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run that was earned. Walked 2, and he strikes out 9. Adam Wainwright, our Budweiser player of the game. So another solid start for another starter for the Cardinals. It's a 7-1 lead. The lefty Stetter will face Joe Thurston. Stetter gave up the home run, a grand slam this weekend to the Twins on Sunday night. Justin Morneau took him deep. And a 1-0 pitch. Joe Thurston tonight has singled, stole the base, and scored back in the 3rd. He doubled and scored in the 4th, and also flied out to center.
A little different now with the lefty dropping down behind him.
You can see how far he drops down. He's low. And essentially that pitch, and he works from the first base side of the rubber. His heel is on the back side of that. Oh, boy, is that it. I mean, that is so tough for a lefty to hang in there and not try to bail out.
That's the key. You hang in there, hold that front shoulder in, and not bail. And I think the umpire just evened it up. Low strike first, and then that breaking ball was right there. Stetter gave up the grand slam to Minot.
Watch where he puts his left heel. About as far as you can get on the rubber, that first base side.
That illusion that, you know, is just making contact with the back of his heel.
And it's a walk. 3rd time that Thurston has been aboard since May 19th. You'll see here the Cardinals efficiency and the ERA of .71, but the pitches per inning. And that's why these starters have been going deep into games.
Going deep into games, you know, usually if you go 12 to 15 pitches, you know, you're going to have some success. And, you know, you're around that magical 100 pitch mark, you're going 6 to 7 innings. You do that, the bullpen falls in place.
Cardinals have received 6 walks here tonight. Jeff Suppan, the starter for Milwaukee, went 3 2/3. Allowed 5 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk. He struck out 2 and allowed 3 home runs. 4 finals already through in baseball. Phillies, Joe Blanton strikes out 11. They beat Florida 5-3. Cleveland over Tampa Bay 5-1. Baltimore beat Toronto 7-2. Livan Hernandez goes the distance for the Mets 6-1 over Washington. Schumacher with a pair of base hits. We're back to the top of the lineup for the Cardinals. 2 for 4 on the night. He's grounded to short, grounded to second, singled with an RBI in the 4th, and doubled and scored in the 6th on the 2-run homer by Duncan. Here's a 1-2. Reaches for it and lines it into center field. Base hit for Schumacher.
3-hit night for Schu.
You say it all the time, but good to see him do that against the lefty.
Well, you know, last year he just hit .340 against right-handed pitching, but about .195 against lefties. But he probably has faced more left-handed pitchers already this season than he did all last year. And now you can tell that he's found his little niche there. How to keep that front shoulder in, how to hit the ball up the middle or the opposite field.
Here's Duncan. 69 at-bat home run drought for Duncan. His 2-run homer in the 6th. And slices that one foul. $11 hits for the Cardinals tonight.
7 runs, 11 hits, good pitch. Sounds like a good formula.
Ooh, just missed a little low. 1-2.
You can see these Cardinal hitters aren't bailing on that breaking ball.
Schumacher now has 23 at bats against lefties and 7 base hits, so he's hitting around that 270 mark. And that just missed.
Got a right-hander warming up in case they want to.
You know, Kendall sets up on the outside portion of the plate on that last pitch. If he's setting up over the middle of the plate, that's probably a called third strike.
A lot of these pitches will look very close. Set up away.
And Duncan hits it into deep center. Cameron is back on the track to make the catch. Thurston tagging up from second to third.
The base running right there as he was just stayed at the bag, thinking it's either going to be a home run, he could walk home, or if it's going to be caught, he could tag up and get over to third.
And here is Pujols, and here comes a pitching change for Ken Maka. So Duncan is able to advance Thurston to third base. It'll be first and third, and 1 out. Stetter walks Thurston, a single to Schumacher. And with 1 out, Pujols will dig in when we come back.
Hi, Al Roboski for your Carrier Home team. We may not have installed your heating or cooling system, but when something goes wrong, you need a trusted reliever.
Turn to the expert at Bermuda Air Conditioning.
Or visit WeFixAnyBrand.com.
There's something big happening at Nissan. Look closer. It's the Nissan National Tent Event. Right now, Nissan delivers exceptional offers and financing on our full line. Get a $199 lease on Altima or Rogue, or $299 on Maxima or Murano. And see the all-new Q at your Nissan dealer now. Hurry, when the tents come down, these deals will end. Look closer. Nissan delivers.
Who knows more about batteries than a robot? Nobody. That's who. And I can tell you there's no battery more important than your phone battery. That's why U.S. Cellular is proud to introduce.
A look at the updated all-star voting in the National League. Molina.
To yell, first one here gets the pitch. And he came sprinting out of the bullpen to get to the mound.
I think he was the chorizo in the sausage race an inning ago, actually. He's usually quicker than that, but I think he was a little bit winded. But you know what? A waiver pickup from Cincinnati last year, originally a 41st round pick by the Reds back in 1998. He's got some good numbers. Got a less than desirable job description right now, though. Runners at first and third, 1 out. And Albert Pujols is up. A slider for a strike.
A big challenge to face this guy anytime, but first and third and 1 out. Todd Coffey has come into 3 bases loaded situations this year and stranded all 9 runners. This might be a tougher situation.
Ball and a strike. Pujols tonight has struck out, had a sac fly, walked, and grounded out. So officially 0 for 2.
Talk about a pickup for the Brewers. You know, you pay all the money to high school and college kids in the draft, millions of dollars. Well, for $20,000, that's what you pay for a waiver claim. You get a guy who throws 93 to 95 with a pretty good breaking ball.
Brad Thompson on your left, Dennis Reyes on your right. Ground ball to short, crazy hop over Counsell into the outfield. And instead of an inning-ending double play, it's another run for the Cardinals.
Well, only Albert Pujols' second RBI in the last 11 games. He's been pitched around and walked to. Has to go out of the strike zone to get this one, plus then gets a good hop. For him as an offensive player, Craig Counsell, no chance on that one. The ball was hit very, very hard and hit that bad hop, and the topspin took it right by him. Actually feels like it accelerates when you're playing the infield.
Didn't hit the lip between the grass and the dirt, just took off on Counsell. It's an RBI single for Pujols, his 40th RBI of the season. And he can afford to smile with the Cardinals up 8-1 here in the 8th inning. Now Yadier Molina. When you look at the consistency of Pujols' numbers year after year, regardless of who's hitting in front of him, who's behind him, who's healthy, who's not, hitting over 300, hitting home runs, driving in runs. in his 9th season in the big leagues. Albert Pujols has finished in the top 5 in MVP voting 7 of his first 8 years, has won 2 of them.
Well, we asked Tony La Russa about, do you worry about who you can protect him with and get him better pitches? And he said, well, they haven't thrown Albert Pujols in the middle of the plate the whole time he's been in the big leagues. He's used to going to the corners or off the plate to gather those numbers and help the team.
Fouled off 2-1. Every year that Albert Pujols has been in the big leagues, he has hit at least 300 with 30 or more home runs and 100 or more RBIs. The only players ever to do that 8 or more seasons, and we're not talking about the first 8 or 9 years of their career. The only players to ever do that are Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth. That's some quality company that Albert Pujols is keeping, and he is on track to make it 9 this year. Down to third. There's 1. And there's 2 to end the inning. But the Cardinals get another run. Pujols drives it in. 8-1 going to the bottom of the 8th. Welcome back to Milwaukee. A rough night for the Brewers. They're down 8-1. Ryan Braun is left with a bruised wrist after being hit by a pitch earlier in the game. 4 home runs for the Cardinals. A great performance by Adam Wainwright. But Wainwright now done. His veteran left-hander Dennis Reyes comes on for the 22nd time this season.
Now his nickname is the Big Sweat. This guy can sweat in 30-degree weather. I had him as a pitcher with Texas. He's a fantastic guy. But last year had a great year with Minnesota. 75 appearances, a career high, and he's leading this staff with appearances right now with 21.
Likely in to face 2 left-handed batters in Frank Catalanato and Prince Fielder. A right-hander warming in the Cardinal pen. Second at bat of the night for Catalanato. He took over for Braun when Braun left the game. Breaking ball popped up for Barden at third base. Number 1.
We talk about all the different lineups that Tony La Russa uses for the offensive side. Well, he can make some pitching changes with the best of them out there. 23 times this season he's brought a relief pitcher and only faced 1 hitter, so he's worn a path out from time to time. And really, I think one of the guys early on that started the situational relief pitching and using a bullpen out there.
He had great success as manager of the White Sox and then of course with the A's, but Tony La Russa's style seems so much better suited for the National League than it does for the American League, especially after watching them all these years in St. Louis. La Russa's contract, by the way, is up at the end of the season.
And it's not a slam dunk that he will be back. I think that it's open for discussion. They've kind of changed the philosophy in the front office there, going a lot more with homegrown talent. And Tony has accepted that, and he raves about this team. I mean, he will tell you, the one thing I'll say about my club, they're going to play hard. They play exciting baseball. He really speaks very highly of these men on his team. But this isn't the typical La Russa team. Veterans have tended to be his preference.
Up the middle, Thurston in time to get Fielder 2 down. Now, these are the top 2 teams in the National League Central right now, with the Milwaukee with their win yesterday, a game ahead of St. Louis. Looks like the Cardinals will move back into a tie with the Brewers. Cincinnati in third, and the Cubs are struggling so badly, having lost 8 in a row. Coming into action tonight, again, the Cubs and Dodgers, Sunday Night Baseball here on ESPN. How about the Pittsburgh Pirates playing a little bit better, having won 7 of their last 10, entering play tonight. The Houston Astros in last place right now. Here's Mike Cameron, 1 for 3.
Some of the young starters for the Pirates have pitched a little better. Zach Duke's been pretty good for them this year.
Oh, Freddie Sanchez 6 for 6 last night.
Oh, he's batting champion, right?
1-1 to Mike Cameron. And he fouls it off. 1-2. And that got a piece of Yadier Molina. It's not easy back there. A lot of bumps and bruises that we don't get a chance to see. Especially for a guy who catches about 135, 140 games a year.
This is the thing about catching and then taking these bumps and bruises up to the plate and being a good offensive player. I think about Mike Piazza. Boy, it went right under the flap, right on his toes. This is the second time we've had a delay for him tonight. We think about Joe Mauer and the 2 batting titles as a catcher, and Mike Piazza, the great things he's done behind the plate. Any offensive catcher, it's amazing they do it. It's taking the beating they do, and one more back-to-back pitches. Let's get your upper body now.
That's a glove save and a beauty right there.
And you'd think he's 6-7 years younger than Benji and Jose. You'd think at some point he'd look at the two of them and say, you know what, I might try third base or second base, but it's the quickest path to the big leagues, and you've got 3 brothers, all catchers at the major league level. There's a base hit through the left side for Cameron. And not only 3 catchers at the major league level, I mean, they all know what they're doing behind the plate. 2 of them have won Gold Gloves, and all of them have won a World Series.
Well, their father Benjamin passed away this past October. When his kids were playing ball, he actually built a field across the street from the house and was grooming the field between games of a doubleheader, and collapsed and passed away. But they said he was doing what he loved, and that's building a baseball field for kids.
Pitching change here in Milwaukee, as Chris Perez will be coming in for the Cardinals. 23-year-old right-hander Chris Perez in his second year in the big leagues from Bradenton, Florida. A hard thrower and considered within the Cardinal organization to be a potential future closer. Right now it's Ryan Franklin, but they've got 2 young pitchers, Chris Perez and Jason Mott, both of whom they think very highly of.
He can top off 94, 95. Got a good slider. Occasional curveball he'll throw to a guy like Corey Hart, right-hander.
Hart 1 for 3, had a base hit his last time up. He's also struck out twice. The Brewers with just a run on 6 hits tonight. The Cardinals have 8 runs on 12 hits, 4 of them home runs. And with the 1 run allowed by St. Louis tonight, their incredible run of pitching continues. They have now given up only 7 runs in their last 8 games.
Well, watching Perez throw, he kind of takes the ball out of his glove and stops and then goes into his motion. What's he doing there?
A little timing mechanism for him, trying to time up his upper body and his arm swing with his leg kick. Looks like he's just not quite ready to do it, so he kind of pulls it out and takes it back in.
Pops him up down the right field line. A trio of Cardinals heading over, and it will be a foul ball out of play.
We'll see a few guys around the big leagues in overtime that'll actually have this little pitch in their giddy up. Takes the ball out, goes back and taps his glove, and then goes through. He would throw a lot of balls up. You would think that timing device would be too much movement because that would make his arm late.
Is that a technical term? Pitch in the giddy up?
Pitch in the giddy up, yeah.
Okay. I just want to be sure, because I write down all the smart things you say, and I wasn't
all
sure.
Of them?
Hitch in the giddy up.
And you wrote that one down?
Well, it's a blank sheet of paper.
Oh my God!
But hitch in the giddy up, I like that. There's the hitch in the giddy up.
It's right up there with kinesthetic sense.
All right, pops him up on the left side. And this one will be playable in foul territory for Barden to end the inning as Perez gets the 3rd out. Well, there are some Cardinal fans in the house here tonight, and they are having the better time with St. Louis leading Milwaukee 8-1 as we go to the top of the 9th inning. New pitcher for the Brewers, right-hander Mark DeFelice, who has had a very nice season and kind of a pleasant surprise. This is a 32-year-old guy who has spent years in the minors, just made his major league debut late last season with the Brewers, and look at the numbers he's putting up this year. One point pitched in an independent league, but got back into mainstream organized baseball, if you will, and now having a good season for the Brewers. With the first pitch he throws is lined into the right field corner by Colby Rasmus. It'll be a double for him, his 2nd hit of the night, as we check in again with Dari Noka.
Dan, the tremendous season for Zach Greinke continues tonight at home against the Detroit Tigers. Throws his 5th complete game. Those 5 complete games tops in all of Major League Baseball. In fact, second best in the American League is just 2 complete games. The Royals get the 6-1 win. He gave up an earned run. That means his ERA goes up to 0.84. First pitcher since 1966 with 10 starts and a sub-1 ERA.
Wow. First pitcher since 1966.
Well, in 68 they lowered, or 69 they lowered the mound. So he's doing it with different tools.
Here's Khalil Green.
And with Khalil Green at the plate, I think Zach Greinke's a great role model for him. With Khalil Green going through some anxiety issues, Zach Greinke went through that, left the team for a while to try to get some help to deal with that, and he has come back and really regained his confidence.
When Khalil Green came up with San Diego 5-6 years ago, he was looked upon as a terrific young player, a guy who had a chance to develop into a star, kind of plateaued and then regressed. And now with St. Louis, dealing with anxiety issues that he admits have affected him at the plate and in the field as he strikes out for the first out of the inning. Now, Zach Greinke has been on fire all season long for the Royals. Let's check out who else is hot. Joe Mauer. You can't keep him in the yard these days. Raul Ibanez, what a pickup he's been for the Phillies. And Justin Verlander, looking like the Verlander of about 3 years ago. One of the big reasons why the Tigers are off to a good start this year.
Ibanez got a chance to win the Triple Crown the end of the season now. He's like 5th in average and tops in RBIs and home runs. He was hidden up there in Seattle for a while.
What an addition to their team, though. I mean, you know, they're leading the National League in home runs. The Philadelphia Phillies are.
They had 64 going into tonight.
And another real threat to that lineup with Utley and Howard and Ibanez. Jimmy Rollins starting to heat up a little bit as well, swinging the bat. Starting pitching's been an issue for the Phillies, though. They haven't gotten the kind of starting pitching that they hoped.
Ryan Barden, a swing and a miss, and another strikeout for DeFelice. The Cardinals got going early with a home run in the 2nd inning tonight. Nick Stavanoa, his first major league home run. Colby Rasmus and Adam Wainwright each homered in the 4th. Chris Duncan homered in the 6th. And it has been a very quiet night for the Milwaukee Brewers with the bats. Here is Brendan Ryan coming up in the pitcher's spot, and he'll look at a strike. Middle infielder.
Tony La Russa taking the opportunity to get some of his bench players in this game and at bat to keep everybody fresh and sharp and hungry.
That's exactly what you're talking about. If you're not in the starting lineup, you've got to be ready to play. There's no real off night on a National League team, and especially a La Russa National League team.
Right-hander Blaine Boyer is up. I mentioned earlier there are 13 pitchers right now, 8 relievers on this Cardinal team. A guy like Boyer hasn't had a chance to pitch much lately. The Cardinals could go down to 12 pitchers because the starters have been going so deep into games. Some of the extra guys in the pen haven't been getting an opportunity. There's a lot of people down there.
I'd tell you, you'd rather sit in the big leagues than play in the minors, though.
Yeah, the meal money's a little better.
Minimum salary's better. Meal money's better.
You don't have to carry your bags.
Well, they got wheels on them today.
Still,
you're right. You don't.
Let's carry your bags.
Travel is pretty nice.
A little better. The flights are different, aren't they?
You get on the charter. You get to the hotel. You go to your room. The bellman tells you when the bags arrive. They call your room. They bring them up. It's pretty nice.
So pretty much like the life you're still leading now.
No, I have Steve carry my bag now.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that, by the way.
2-2 the count on Ryan.
But, you know, for the players on a getaway day, they'll go in the clubhouse after the game, and there'll be a spread of food for them there. Then they take the bus to the plane, and as you walk onto the plane, there's food for them as they get onto the plane and served to them throughout the flight. Then they usually land and go out to eat.
They burn a lot of calories at the workouts in the play. Life in the big leagues, the part the fans don't see, you know, they see the great salaries and they see all the great facilities that are being built all around the country, this great stadium here and others. But the peripheral things also around it are very, very nice, as plush as could be. And the locker rooms they're building, it's amazing, the ones we see at Citi Field and New Yankee Stadium, and here we walk through today.
Again, the 2-2. Ground ball down to third. Inning over. Ryan out by a step. We're going to the bottom of the ninth here at Miller Park. The Cardinals 3 outs away from a win.
And now we're back in the living room. And now, bedroom. And...
Dorinoka in studio after a rain delay of 2 hours, 24 minutes. They are finally underway in Arlington, and the Rangers get on the board first against Java Chamberlain and the Yankees. Marlon Byrd drives in 2. In this game, Melky Cabrera left in the first after running into a center field wall, favoring his right shoulder as he left. Meanwhile, Twins have finished off the Red Sox just seconds ago. 5-2 the final there. So New York could be in a first-place tie if they could beat the Rangers, guys.
And don't forget the Yankees and Rangers tomorrow night on ESPN2. We go to the bottom of the ninth here in Milwaukee, but the Cardinals leading the Brewers 8-1. Right-hander Blaine Boyer comes out of the Cardinal pen, the 4th St. Louis pitcher of the night. The guy picked up in a trade in April from Atlanta. And again, a guy just getting sporadic opportunities right now because the Cardinals are carrying 13 pitchers and the starters have been so unbelievably good and going so deep into games.
And when your stats are like that, every opportunity is a key one to show off your wares. For Dave Duncan, Tony La Russa, gain some confidence from management.
Sports Center is coming up as soon as this game is over here on ESPN. Look at all the Major League action, NBA and NHL playoffs as well. So stay tuned for that. Scott Van Pelt and Steve Levy will be your anchors. Sports Center as soon as this game is over. And the Cardinals are 3 outs away from winning it. Fouled off by Hall. Dave Duncan's got to be awfully proud. His off the charts, ridiculously good numbers for his pitching staff in the last 8 games.
I believe a future Hall of Famer along with Tony La Russa. I think they both should be considered Hall of Famers. And what Dave Duncan's done to so many pitchers' careers, resurrecting careers, reclamation projects.
Now, managers obviously have gone into the Hall of Fame, but no coach has ever gone into the Hall of Fame.
No, I know, and I don't even know if they allow them to be on ballots, but I would say that when you look at the impact that he has had on the game, it's as significant as any manager or player, really, with how he's impacted so many different pitchers in their teams.
Pujols into foul territory. 1 down.
I agree with you, Steve. I think even Rudy Jaramillo down there in Texas as a hitting side of the equation, and maybe even a Charlie Lau. You think about the hitting side and the great coaches.
We're now starting to talk about scouts getting into the Hall of Fame. I think that you know, when you look at the impact people have on the game is really what I think the Hall of Fame is about. The special impact that you've had.
There's Jason Kendall. And how about the scout who found Albert Pujols? I mean, 13th round pick, and we all understand that Pujols wasn't in the kind of condition then that he is now, and everybody passed over him. Nobody thought he would become this good of a player, but somebody liked him.
Well, he was a great sign. I think the thing is taken in the 13th round, they were wrong 12 times before that, because if as good as he's turned out, it was a risk to let him slide in the draft without taking him. So I got Mike Piazza in the 62nd round. I mean, as good as he turned out, you know, the Dodgers, it was a great pick, but they were wrong 61 times before because of how good Pujols turned out to be, or Piazza turned out to be.
Out to second, 2 down. Now look at the upcoming games on the ESPN family of networks. This week, the Yankees and the Rangers tomorrow night on ESPN2 beginning at 8 Eastern. Steve will be in Chicago for the Dodgers and Cubs. Sunday night baseball from Wrigley. And then Steve Worrell and myself will all be in Cleveland, the Yankees and Indians, Monday night, 7 Eastern right here on ESPN.
And before that game tomorrow night, got a special baseball tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. on ESPN2 leading up to that game.
Here's Matt Gamble getting it at bat now. This is one of the young prospects the Brewers have brought up. He's a third baseman, a work in progress defensively. Left-handed batter with some power. They did use him in Minneapolis and will use him in the coming weeks as a DH in American League parks and interleague play. 0-2.
That swing didn't show up, but I think he's got a little Nick Swisher in him, where he kind of crouches in there and really keeps his front shoulder in. Looks like the kind of gamer that's going to grind out at bats. Power in a small package.
Got a piece. A very quiet night here for the Milwaukee Brewers. They may be concerned about the status of Ryan Braun, who left with a bruised wrist after getting hit by a pitch back in the third inning. The Cardinals on their way to beating Milwaukee for the first time this season in 5 tries, and on their way into moving back into a first-place tie in the division with Milwaukee. But the rubber match of the series tomorrow afternoon. There'll be another opportunity tomorrow for Prince Fielder and the rest of the Brewers. Todd Wellemeyer against Manny Parra to wrap up the series. 1-2 pitch, just low.
You don't think players think about baseball 24 hours a day and grind on their sport to get to this level? When you see Prince Fielder in an 8-1 game, he's not even close to getting up. 5-6 slots away. He's in there working.
Special guys do that, right? I mean, that's that extra little bit of mental toughness. You know, they talked a lot watching all the highlights from last night, how Victor Martinez, who's really struggled swinging the bat for the Cleveland Indians when they fell behind, he kept urging his teammates, listen, let's go, stay in it. We've got a chance to come back. We've got a chance to come back, and he ended up getting the big hit to end up winning the game.
Full count.
You love having those gym rats on your team. The guys that just love to play, love to compete. It's not always about the score and the winning and the losing and the disappointment of that. It's just the next at bat, the next game.
This should do it. And the Cardinals win it by a score of 8-1 here in Milwaukee to move back into a first place tie in the National League Central with the Brewers.
And they've held it afloat with the pitching. Wainwright's back on the beam his last 3 outings. Chris Carpenter, even though they lose yesterday, had a no decision, but he's doing well. Watch out for the Cardinals.
And for the Milwaukee Brewers, first step after this game, go talk to the trainers to check on Ryan Braun and hope that J.J.